Speaker a little bit of the fear of God. You know, he's just said here that she's been so arrogant. So that is the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And then kind of show her who's actually boss here.
Who is actually the boss here. And the truth is that what the MCA is actually not saying is that the Speaker cannot wholesomely be at fault without the County Assembly Service Board. They have got their representative in that board.
Yes.
And if that board, if they've got any problem, actually it literally falls on that board. Yes. So first of all, they should be kicking out their other MCAs who are in that board.
Right.
They should actually be calling for the disbursement of that board and reconstituting it. Otherwise, taking care of the Speaker alone is not true.
It almost looks like a witch hunt.
As in, it's not really true. Elachi cannot act alone. It's not possible that he will go around and circumvent the County Assembly Service Board in all those things they are throwing around.
And the Service Board having their representatives.
And it has their representatives, not one. The other thing is that how a county assembly will operate in the county service, like any other board, the County Assembly Service Board is a negotiated space. She doesn't have all the votes.
She actually doesn't.
She doesn't have all the votes. So the people in that board should be answerable to the MCAs. What probably I would ask him, having known him from another life, would be if they consulted their members, because that has not shown up anywhere.
Yes.
If they ever asked for audience with the County Assembly Service Board, because some of those things like trips, and let's get it. You know, Kenyans out there will get very jittery about an MCA asking for a trip. We do not elect these guys to just sit here. They also need to benchmark once in a while. They need to get best practices elsewhere. And asking for a trip is not like they're asking for the moon. Let's be real. So those are issues they should have really addressed with the board, but they have not done. So in my thinking, you know, corporate politics is not different. Even Steve Jobs was kicked out of Apple at some point from an institution he formed by a board he brought on board. So it's not any different.
Let's look at the charges then that you claim are against her, that you're putting against her in the impeachment.
Fact, that is, thanks for the question really, because even Arnold has touched on the County Assembly Service Board. The biggest problem we are having is not that she has the entire power to control the County Assembly Service Board. Her problem is that she makes changes. That is, once the meetings have been held and resolutions have been passed to the County Assembly Service Board, the communication as to the findings of the County Service Board is usually done by the Speaker. For example, she recently, we made some changes because our clerk and his deputy and a few other officials were taken to court. And the court ruled that they should not come anywhere near the assembly because of the investigations that are ongoing. Now, so the County Assembly Service Board sat down to bring in people to act in their position. And the person who was given that responsibility of the deputy clerk, somebody called Castro, within our assembly, it was passed and minuted, and even the minutes were circulated, and we all saw everything. The actual communication so that this can be gazetted, the name of Castro had already been changed, purely done by the Speaker herself. So usurping the powers of the County Assembly Service Board is the problem.
Okay. So this is one example that is put out, but something else that's in the story, and you could clarify this, is fraudulent awarding of tenders. And again, with such a charge, as Arnold rightly puts it, she wouldn't be the only one with sway on such an issue. So, I mean, what examples do you have or evidence do you have?
The issue that is coming about the tender business is the story about the house of the Speaker, which was supposed to be bought.
Okay.
And from what is making rounds, these are not things I can confirm, I must confess, but what is making rounds is that she was, you know, she had intentions of convincing people who are participating within the tendering process to give it to a company that is associated with her husband.
Okay.
But to be honest, these are not really factual per se. I can't sit over here and say this is it.
The issue of misappropriation of
we have
funds?
courts here, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you know, in the County Assembly, by the way, for us to be impeaching the Speaker, we simply need to have indications. You know, we are not a court of law where we must prove things beyond any reasonable doubt. Ours is, the minute you become arrogant, for example, is not a crime. But the minute you can't put us together, your management of the County Assembly is wanting, because you are usurping powers here and there. You can't bring a cohesive relationship among members. All these constitute.
Would it also be right to say then she's not quite towing the line? Because if you're able to impeach her then
yes.
on such, such perception, she's not towing the line.
Certainly she's not. I'll give you an example, for example.
Yes.
You know, we attempted to impeach her a while ago. I think it's probably maybe about 3 weeks or thereabout. And we had a session, sat with her, you know, with our leaders and everybody. And we decided to pardon the lady. And you know, we called it, we solved that problem and it was behind us. But the minute we then again came back to say we are going to impeach her, which is in writing to her, rather than come back to us again and ask, members of the county assembly, really, what have I done again? She chooses to travel all the way to Mombasa so that we don't serve her. And she goes to a certain forum, something to do with arid and semi-arid agricultural forum in Malindi, all purely aimed at making sure that we don't serve her. And in any case, Mombasa is only, is it 1 hour by air to come back over here?
45 minutes.
We have already told you that tomorrow we are going to have an assembly where we are going to impeach you. She knows very well in the steps that we proceed with in the impeachment process. One of the steps is to give her audience so that she is able to communicate to us and tell us all these things. She knows all this, but she never came.
Let me have Arnold comment on this. Is it concerning to you then that someone not towing the line is grounds for impeachment? She could be effective as a speaker, but she's not towing the line, and that word in itself, or that, you know, phrase, towing the line, has a lot of weight to it.
Yes. I'm thinking, number one, she cannot be effective as a speaker and not be able, quote unquote, to toe the line. We must actually be honest and tell people out there that in political spaces, the same way within corporate spaces, right, a CEO and the board must always find a way, because her bosses, the board is actually, the County Assembly Service Board is actually a very small representative to help manage the assembly. Mm-hmm. And what comes out here, I want to say this has nothing to do with her way, or probably if she's effective or not. It's just, it started immediately how she even got the job in the first place. That the process is out there in the law, but we never follow it. That MCAs, and he might not be confident enough to speak here, are imposed on people who become speakers by their party leaders. Very few, either the speaker in county assemblies, yet there is a process there on how you end up being a speaker.
Okay.
So you are supposed to apply, and then the MCAs need to come.
True.
But these guys literally had a call. They were called and told, you vote in so-and-so. So anybody else who was applying for that job was wasting their time. The same thing happens in so many other places where the party does not have sway. Then the governor has got the power. I will give you somebody who will help me work. So from the very beginning, they are working with, there is no understanding. And playing ball here in corporate governance, one of those things, like I've said, the space, the speaker and the MCAs and even the County Service Assembly Board, including the executive on the other side, is negotiated space. It's very negotiated space. There is no, it's not geometrical. People have to find a ways of coexisting.
Okay.
And in this case, what has she denied these people that they are not saying? They've only mentioned trips. What politicians will not tell you and come out, very few of them are able to say that, is that they are normally ATMs. And guys are putting in a little bit of passwords here by praising them and trying to get money. So MCAs have got their own trouble. And the other challenge is, as much as Governor Sonko wants to say he's not part and parcel of this issue, Governor Sonko has brought MCAs so close to him. That shouldn't be the case. They cannot even oversight Sonko. That is why when everybody was throwing stones against the governor, no one remembered that we've got a county assembly that should also be taking some blame. When Nairobi goes down, these are the guys who pass plans. These are the guys who pass the budget. These are the people who have to do oversight. Yet everybody is throwing stones at the governor and no one asks questions about the MCAs. And they keep quiet. So the only time you see them coming up strongly is about their own interest, of which we'll say, as a leader, little bit of this, the speaker has lost a step or two. She can walk back. Her problem is not legal. Her problem is leadership and political. She can walk back. These guys just want to teach her some fear of God, like I said. If she goes back and listens, they can get around. But what we will actually be pushing them, if they were able to push Sonko the way they have pushed the speaker, then Nairobi would be a different place. These guys and the senator are not different.
Yes.
The senator is also just good. Senator Sakaja is all over, just feeling good, taking good photos, doing a lot of very good PR, and he cannot oversight the governor here, yet he is the MCA number 1, by the way. The senator should be MCA number 1.
All right. In your view, nothing unbecoming as to how they went about it.
Number 1, like I said earlier on, before we talk about anything unbecoming, let's look at systems.
Okay.
Organizational development systems and structures in place. The County Assembly Service Board, I am almost sure it has not been trained. They do not even understand their role.
Okay.
The fights in the County Assembly Service Board is what is causing what is happening today. Because if the Service Board was effective in the first place, all the challenges they are saying would not occur. 2, are the MCAs themselves, besides knowing that kazi yao ni kutetea watu, do they really know other things and how to engage properly? If they show up, and these things, I know people out there love frowning when people do things like team building.
Yes.
But did you guys ever do a team building between yourselves, the County Assembly, the Speaker? Do you ever do such
things? Yeah, those ones were done initially at the very beginning.
Did they work?
Yes.
In my opinion, as a leadership person, I will tell you it failed. Because if it's barely a year and they are fighting. So what are the results?
Yes.
The results haven't been there. So we can be very easy. It will be very easy for us to point fingers at MCAs. And by that I need to point out this. No one wins elections in this country who is a fool. It's so easy out there for people to try and say MCAs are probably stupid, they don't think properly. No one can win an election in this country if he is stupid. No one. You can't even win a cattle dips election if you are less than sub-intelligent. You will not win. So we have got proper guys in there. What is lacking is capacity. 2, we also have got issues around management. Jubilee has failed. If Jubilee give these guys a person they can't work with, if, for example, and you actually will also realize that the speaker has got a little bit of some high ground she lives on.
Yes.
There is where she is and then there is where the MC is. Like you saw on air saying that Mkubwa amepiga na amesema watu wote watoke.
That is also,
you know that is your funeral. You're talking about your funeral and you're telling some guys that there is an angel somewhere who has said, you guys have to wait, this funeral will have to wait.
Yes.
She should have taken charge as the leader of the county assembly.
Yes. If you look at it, the arrogance that I'm referring to.
So,
it's been,
you know where my relatives come from. They say that you normally make noise to, or rather you will pass a little bit of some warning to the mongoose for coming and taking your chicken, and you also talk to the chicken. You ask it what was it doing there at that particular time. So there is issues on both sides, but for me they are small petty issues.
Right.
But those small petty issues are actually what make big rifts. So literally the MCAs need to make their case in a constructive way. The speaker on the other side needs to stop acting saintly and speak to these people.
In your view then, the issue of misappropriation of funds, fraudulent awarding of tenders, the first class flying, that's neither here nor there. It's really about the arrogance.
Well, they are also anomalies. They are also anomalies. They are part of the process, because really without that, again, we can easily correct the arrogance, for example. That's not a big problem.
Okay.
But this arrogance in itself, what it yields at the end of the day is a sapping of authority, and therefore doing certain things which are illegal in nature. For example, you can't possibly use the government money to go and receive a honorarium degree. I mean, things about your own personal development.
Has happened?
Yeah. This is the information that we have.
That you have.
Yes, which we
even this issue of the first class flying.
First class, they are there. These are things we have. The documentation is available to us.
In her defense, she says she has a condition.
Well, she has irrespective of whether it's a condition. You see, the issue is that she can't travel. First of all, it needs to be confirmed that she went for medical. Because really what we have with us is non-medical. It has things to do with facelifting business in respect to, what women usually do to beautify themselves. That is the information that we have. That
she traveled for that.
Exactly. That is travel for that. And many other things. The Dubai travel, the American travel to Dallas where she used 600,000 Kenya shilling, traveling first class as opposed to traveling the economy, which is what the government officials have been asked to do in light of saving money for the government. So we have all this collected together. But in there is the big story of arrogance at the end of the day. You see, Arnold has said something very important here. Elachi was actually brought to us, granted, but not through coercion. She was not forced on us, no.
She wasn't imposed on you.
The party, which is Jubilee, we adopted a certain mechanism which is called distribution of seats to various areas. If you've listened to our leaders, the president, everybody else, we wanted to bring everybody on board. So we have positions that are available to us, yes, by virtue of the fact that we had numbers.
Okay.
But we didn't want to go through the ordinary elections where anybody wins. So we brought Elachi here so that we can bring a lady, for example. We brought Elachi here so that we can bring again somebody from another part of Kenya. Took the speaker in the Senate, again somebody from another section. So it was a negotiated arrangement. And we all picked Elachi wholeheartedly.
Negotiated or just awarding your cronies?
Not crony.
That's what happens.
I agree that is within people's thinking at in a certain quarter. But really, but otherwise, we negotiated it and we appreciated and brought on board. Okay. You heard what Arnold has just said. Your clips are actually showing Elachi yesterday saying that get everybody out of here in that saga where you saw that commotion. Yeah. Get everybody out of here because she has received a call from high powers. I mean, really, you need to underscore the word arrogant again and again and again. Yes. These are the things we are saying. Rather than simply come down to earth. Come to the level with the members of the county assembly. Discuss issues that are concerning them. If you've gone to acquire a degree here, and you've come back from Dubai, for example, and you spent 550K, and we feel that that was an anomaly. Really, if we are working together and we discuss, we can easily say it on the money. Some of these things are not really cast in stone. There are changes that you can make as you move along, particularly if it is realized that she actually never knew that she was committing a crime or an anomaly. But that she will do. Even right now, she has her fists clenched,
she's on the
ready to fight. There is nowhere she has come to us and said, people, members of the county assembly, please let's have a sitting. What exactly is this that you really think that I have done that I need to either undo and moving forward I need to stop doing? That hasn't come from
basically her. Get the feedback from you. But for the Nairobian who feels then they need better services for themselves on a daily basis, then if this is a speaker who is somewhat subdued and perhaps she needs to run things in an effective way and sometimes not give you MCAs what you want, then would she be someone who is manipulated?
Well, first of all, members of the county assembly are not interested in anything that is not entitled to them.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That
don't give us anything that is not interested.
Why do you say it's heavy? Let me hold you on that point. Let me hold you on that point as you continue. Why do you say it's heavy?
First of all, I'd like us to imagine this, that people who last year were campaigning sitting on motorbikes now can no longer sit in the economy because they have got medical conditions. Where were those medical conditions when they were riding motorbikes looking for votes? Where were those medical conditions? You know, and a seat, you've been in a plane. A seat...
Mostly economy.
Even an economy class seat is way bigger than a motorcycle. And I can tell you, both the people I have seen say they need first class, so business class, are honestly people I have seen. You can actually go online and look for photos. You'll see them on motorbikes, and they never died. They looked for votes. They went around Nairobi. True. They were all over, hanging on roughshod tracks, looking for votes. They never died. But now that they have actually won, they have got medical conditions that cannot allow them to sit on to actually be part of a seat that is slightly bigger than what I'm sitting on now. Those are jokes and very bad
jokes.
But
why do you say that
so
statement,
on
MCAs are not interested or looking at anything that is not entitled to them?
Yes, because that is what they are not saying. And yesterday, but they say that two people say the truth, an angry person and a drunk one. I don't want to say that those who were making noise yesterday were drunk, but there were elements of truth that showed up yesterday. You can actually see the clip. Those guys talking about, I was denied a trip, she did this to me. So MCAs are entitled to some of these things. What we need to actually look back, and if he's good, he will actually tell us how many of them have traveled. How many times has there been a budget set aside for them probably to reach out to their people, issues around public participation? Do they have a free hand? Do they have a voice in how the county assembly is running? How do they get, and I'm not talking about salaries here, because the salaries, they know automatically that works for them. So what normally brings issues in most boards, especially within government settings, and even in the assembly, is allowances. And allowances can only be triggered by activities. So if you are the only one, like they're saying, yesterday that lady was saying, that Njambi MCA, nominated MCA, saying that she denies us everything, but she puts all money on herself. And I know from where an MCA comes from, even 5,000 shillings can actually do something in a ward. Those are 5 young people you have sorted, and they at the mechanics of doing politics. So what they actually are fighting for is probably more space. And I know they've been talking amongst other MCAs in other areas. Other speakers are treating them well. The governors have ensured that they are taken care of well so that they can do their mandate properly. When you hear MCA Peter Wahinya say, we want the speaker to come to us and ask us, what have we done wrong? In that same sitting or session, is there a conversation of what do you want? Yes, that conversation, like I said, she needs, this whole drama was that she either refused to play ball or if they knew that they are unable to take her out due to party structures or the politics around that, was that they wanted to little bit of, I don't know how to put it, but kwa Kiswahili kumshtua kidogo, so that she gets some bit of fear and she can play ball. So I know it is a dangerous trend, but it should never have gotten there. Like I said, Elachi slept through the revolution because she should have been able to manage MCAs. And it's about interests here. Let's get real. The interests of the MCAs, and here we are going to talk about leadership and management, the way it's supposed to play out. Correct. Yes. And just hold you on that point. I'll let you respond as you continue with this conversation on the issues, the administrative issues of the Nairobi County Assembly. We're just getting information here that the Migori Governor Okoth Obado has reported to the DCI in Kisumu for questioning over the murder of Sharon Otieno. This happened last week on Monday, and the investigations are continuing, and everyone has been asking, where is Governor Okoth Obado in all this drama that is unfolding and the details that are emerging? And we also know that Okoth Obado's PA is going to be arraigned today in Homa Bay at the Homa Bay High Court, and Bernardo Jong will give us more details. But as we are receiving some details here, is that Okoth Obado has presented himself to the DCI in Kisumu for questioning over the murder of Sharon Otieno, a story that we'll keep our eyes on, and we'll cross over to Homa Bay as soon as Bernardo Juang has an update for us. Yes, you were responding to what he brought up, being real, and the politics of running the MCAs, the county assembly. And at first you were saying we want nothing more than what is entitled to us.
Yes, and we want nothing more than what is entitled to us is one. And we certainly are not interested in participating in an illegality. That we will not do. See, people forget at the end of the day that we are a government entity, and at the end of the day, those bodies that control the EACCs of this world, the the director of criminal investigation and so forth, are all entitled to come in and out of our place as they desire. So as members of the county assembly, we are alive to the fact that illegality is something we are not going to entertain. So when we sit with Elachi, really, we are making normal demands that don't do this and don't do that, because we think that is not a good thing to do. Don't travel this class in the plane and so forth. Secondly, learn, develop an ability if you can, and if you have to go back to school, so be it, so that you develop management skills to be able to put us together, because she's our leader. And we must work together in the fight, to improve the Nairobians over here. And like Arnold says, we need to also, oversight the governor and his government for that matter. And Elachi is the one leading all these things. So she needs to develop that managerial skills to be able to put us here. For example, like now the issue of pepper spray, it's understandable she's protecting herself, but you can see the extent to which she was going. And yet nobody was going to harm her. There are many security organs.
That's not true.
That's the forces that were coming in.
Let me explain.
You can actually be hurt.
Let me explain. There are very many organs. She's already called the police organ. and which to us is in order. Because really,
but it seems the police were unable to, get people to leave the office. Bring some order.
Not order.
Because they were dealing with honorable members. They will not
have manhandled. Are you by any chance saying that all these policemen, for example, who are here, they can see no threats yet? You see, when there's a threat, the policemen will react. Remember, they have everything at their disposal, including tear gases. They were there. But Elachi, all this contingent of the cops, Elachi chooses to bypass them and spray some pepper spray, surely. There's something that is not working over here. The OCPD actually walked in yesterday.
Yes.
He came and looked around. He was followed by very many policemen. We talked to him and told him here there's no threat of harming Elachi, for example. And as you can see, because when he walked in, he found others. So we told him these other ones are taking care of her already. So you really don't need to escalate the matter any further.
Some of the pictures that we have, I don't know if we can show. I mean, these were people who were trying to get her furniture out. Are you telling me that there was no physical attempt?
That is okay.
There wouldn't have been a physical attempt to get her out of her office?
To touch her, no. But for example, Mark, the chair was actually being removed. Okay, like I said, really, in a group of 122 people, you will not miss one or two people who express themselves a little differently. Because, for example, the lady you mentioned, her name is Jambi. To her, she strongly believes, so do we, that Elachi she should not be sitting in that office. Sitting literally means that maybe if we remove the chair,
yes.
See, that's the thinking.
Right. And Arnold, you're saying, in response to the issue of the pepper spray right there.
For one, Elachi is entitled to
protect herself.
To personal security. Yes. She can protect herself. This pepper spray thing for me is very little mischief, and we should not dwell on that.
Yes.
And we have seen people in such scenarios being hurt, seriously injured. This is a political platform. You cannot say this is child play. Again, I just need to remind Mheshimiwa here that the police who are there treated Waheshimiwas with kids' gloves. If we know how they deal with other people in such like a scenario, yes. It would have been bad. So he cannot say, because again, when the officers are dealing with a little bit of people who are high in society, they exercise some restraint. And during that restraint, like that lady, for example, if she would not have been restrained, it would have been something different.
Right.
If you have seen how our politics work out. So for me, on that pepper spray thing, that's little mischief and not so big.
Have you asked yourself why it is the lady? I don't know whether you've looked at it keenly.
Yes, it's ladies who actually.
The ladies who are actually doing what you can see there.
That is strategy.
Because at our meeting,
seemed very well.
At our meeting, no, really, well, it could be strategy, yes. But at our meeting, when we said let's go and speak to her so that we urge her to leave, we actually sent the ladies. The men are following for purposes of participating by watching.
That's a reinforcement, not watching. That's a reinforcement.
I can assure you, not a single human being, Mark, laid any hands on that on Madam Elachi, or even made an attempt that I can actually touch her. Leave alone even shake her a little.
Even when she is said to have gone into a toilet and she wanted her to come out.
That can't happen in the assembly. Never.
Well, in Nairobi Assembly,
in Nairobi
worse
Assembly,
can happen.
We've seen stuff.
Worse can happen.
Stuff happen.
No, that can happen. Worse can happen in the Nairobi County Assembly.
Elachi is actually enjoying that. That's the fact.
We've seen chairs fly in certain settings.
But the fact that but then again, the chairs were flying a little bit. I think it's in the old dispensation.
Yes.
Today, with the assembly and the standing orders and rules and regulations that govern us, it is slightly not very. Yeah.
We certainly hope it doesn't get to that. Yes.
Probably what Mheshimiwa should be good enough and tell Kenyans, precisely besides this arrogance, yes. Your rights and entitlements, which is actually well understood, is there any other thing, is there anyone else trying to pass a message to somebody else? Because remember in that shouting yesterday, we were told clearly that you cannot organize. In Kiswahili huwezi panga governor wetu hapa hivi au wenye wanakuambia kwingine. So and we have seen the kind of politics between of course kitaeleweka, tanga and then tinga.
The governor is somewhat taking a back seat on this.
And the governor, we know the guy who, the easiest way to see Nairobi's governor is simply to put up a fire and the governor shows up. But there was fire at City Hall and the governor somehow is very relaxed. So why does it feel like he's one of those guys watching a show that is well directed, probably from an end he knows?
The strings being pulled here.
Actually, from a government, when we were discussing the impeachment of Elachi, like I said in our Kamkunji initially, before we actually made it happen, We also discussed Sonko. But I can tell you there was no shred of an idea that we were going to impeach him. The impeachment of Sonko is a business that was never transacted. In fact, I don't even think we have never imagined it.
But you see,
even imagining we have not.
You see, how will you discuss probably one of your own?
Yes.
As in, if 102 MCAs impeached the...
Actually, we'll say 103 out of 107.
Oh, the senator.
Yes.
How then do we also not think that probably the governor was the 103rd one or the 104th one?
Who is
because again,
the machination?
within, if you understand corporate politics, especially from where they are, one or two do not show up one day and they have got one mind. They were organized. They have got a leadership. Of course, he'll tell you it's the leadership of the house.
Yes.
But they were organized. There was just some proper organization and working around.
Yes.
That organization is what is still surprising us, because 102 or 103 in Nairobi is one too large a number.
Yes.
Who organized that?
There's no orchestration. There's nothing bigger than just the arrogance.
You see what Arnold is doing, and I'll give it to him, is that Arnold has refused to accept that the leadership, and I'll be very honest, the leadership that we have, the leader of majority minority, and also the whips that you have, these guys are organizers, my friend. And I'll tell you another thing that is helping. This so-called handshake at the very top, remember,
he's working at the county assembly.
Has come all the way down
to the county.
This is
well, you're not shaking hands, clearly.
Originally, without the handshake, we probably would have had some hiccups, and maybe we would not have been able to organize ourselves. But when we are working together with both political divides, my friend, there is nothing we can't achieve.
Well, it's manifested in a different way, the handshake that you say, because there's a lot of pepper spray and chairs being thrown out of offices and a lot of heckling. So it's manifested in a very interesting way at the county assembly. We'll continue with this conversation, but just look at some of the pictures from Jivanji Gardens, where there's a protest that is going on today, and some of the women leaders and civic society representatives against or on the Sharon murder.
Time politics imeisha na politicians. Na kama justice haitapatikana leo ya Sharon, hata sisi tutatoka nje na hizo viti mnakalia nyinyi magavana, women representative, tutakuwa hapo. Na tuta make sure hao watu wote wajaipata justice wenye wanauliwa. Masikeino aliuliwa. Hatujasahau. Labda saa hii kitu tuko nayo ni jina zetu. Naitwa Editor Dhiambo. Hiyo ndio kitu naona hapa Kenya. We chose you people to go to parliament to fight for us, and then you come back in the society, you kill us. Sharon tunajua mwenye alimuua. Na watu wajinga huko nje ndio watauliza aliuliwa kwa nini? Nini ilifanyika? Badala kuanzia Sharon ameuliwa, justice yake inapatikana wapi? Nani wao alimuua? Ashikwa peleko. Si wanashika mavifaranga. Au si waliwa Sharon? We are not stupid. We are demanding, especially the president. This is the time. Tuliona ukipewa wanawake awards juzi. Pia hatukuwa wanawake wadogo. Hatukuwa na young women. This is the time as a president of Kenya. Come in the limelight, speak about this issue. Condemn it. We are tired. Tumechoka.
Isn't it voices from the grassroots communities?
Comrades power! Comrades power! Hey! Hey! I'm standing on behalf of all young women, and I want to condemn Sharon's death in all ways possible, with all the strongest words possible. Ile kitu nataka kusema ni kwamba whatever someone decides to do with their life is up to their choice. We cannot keep talking about a moral fabric which was torn a long time ago. Sharon's choices were made with what our society has become today. So whatever she chose is whatever she decided she's going to choose, or whatever circumstances she went through. I'm rebuking that in the strongest words possible, and I'm saying today that if we want to reclaim our position, we need to mend our fabric, but we are not going to kill people. We're not going to kill.
Sentiments there from Jivanji Gardens, and Zainab Ismail is following up on this particular story on the reactions to the Sharon murder and investigations that are ongoing. And an update that we got earlier on is that Migori Governor Okoth Obado has presented himself to the DCI office in Kisumu and for questioning on the murder case and his hand in it, if any. And also Bernardo Juang will be giving us an update from Homa Bay on whether Michael Oyamo, the PA of Okoth Obado, has been arraigned and what has been decided from the courts there. Stay with NTV today. We continue with the conversation as well on the Elachi attempts to impeach her and get her out of office. been presented in court. It's now 12 p.m. It was meant to be in court at 9 a.m. So there's quite a bit of questions there, and Bernardo John will be able to give us some updates. But let's listen into activists, from Jivanji Gardens who are speaking on the same.
National Parents Association, Kenya. We have a lot of concerns about the death of Sharon Otieno, and this really goes down to the parents of the entire country, and I am talking on the behalf of all the parents in this country. We take our children to learn. We take them to institutions, and we do not expect our children to die such kind of death. That is not the way that the parents are really looking into the future of their children. If there are leaders that are destroying our children, daughters, in the schools or in the institutions, and when they have been identified, they end up killing them, that is a taboo to this nation.
Exactly.
We are not going to sit back as parents of this nation when our children are dying, brutally killed, without proper reasoning. If the child has already conceived, we need not to kill her.
Yes.
We can even take that child, continue to go up with the pregnancy until she bears a child.
Amen.
The child is going to be taken care of. The future of this girl was so bright. She could continue with the education and finish her course. So we as parents, we condemn it with the strongest way and term possible.
Yes.
I am also here on behalf of the Women Rep of Nairobi, Esther Passaris. She is one to be here with the solidarity with the women of Nairobi when they are going on the streets condemning this kind of a thing. She is only committed in the Committee of Health at the Parliament building. But she is saying she stands with you and she is with you. And she is also saying to all women reps in the entire country to stand up and condemn this situation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we want to thank you, the media. We have the press statements. Mnaweza chukua, go through in, but tumesema kama wanawake, mambo respective politics hatutaki. Tuko na right ya kudecide vile tunataka kukua, maisha tunataka kuishi. Maneno ya kuwa justify na tasubi ya kiume tumekataa. Na vile tumesema tunaenda kuorganize the informal settlements and the university students. Tunaenda kwa streets na demand right. This is not business as usual. Si maandamano tilo tunakujanga wanaenda, tunaput a demand. Kuna DPP amesema anaenda kureact. You are waiting to see.
Yes.
Akifail, we are not going to take business as usual to occupy those offices.
Yes.
We are going to occupy those offices.
Yes.
And it's not a joke. Tumeamua tunawakujia.
And we are not
Yeah.
stopping.
So we are going to say thank you so much and we are going to go with the procession. If you want, you can join us as we go. Thank you, tunashukuru, asanteni.
And thank you.
Comrades, power!
Power! Comrades, power!
Power!
Comrades, power!
Some women leaders as well as activists who are weighing in on this Sharon Otieno murder as the investigation continues. As we've reported in the last 1 hour, the Migori governor, who has been mentioned in connection to this case repeatedly, has reported to the DCI in Kisumu for questioning. Bernardo Juang is now ready to give us an update from Homa Bay on whether Michael Oyamo has been arraigned.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. We've been here since morning. Remember yesterday, while giving orders, Senior Resident Magistrate Lester Simiyu ordered that Oyamo be brought here at the High Court before Justice Joseph Karanja at around 9 a.m. in the morning, something that has not happened. She therefore added that in case Oyamo will not be arraigned here at the Homa Bay High Court, he will be a free man. And currently, since he had not been brought here since that time, we can't just tell whether he is a free man or not. And some of the rumors we are getting that he might be taken to Kisii High Court. This follows after some rowdy youths stormed here. They were here at the gate demanding that Oyamo should not be given or should not be released on cash bail. And Mark, the information we are now getting again that Migori Governor Okoth Obado is currently being grilled by the investigators in Kisumu, and our team is in Kisumu. Will be giving you more updates over that, Mark.
Bernardo Juang, thank you for that. And as you've mentioned there, it's just word going round that he may have been taken to the Kisii High Court, where the other suspect actually has been, that is the former MCA Lawrence, and on issue or suspicion of perhaps there would be security concerns for Michael Oyamo if he were brought to Homa Bay. It was anticipated he would be there by 9 a.m. And given the emotive nature of this story, definitely something that could be expected, could be the case, and that's why he hasn't been presented in court yet. But we'll get an update on that and whether this means he's a free man, but definitely with being a person of interest on this case, that would not be the case, as you would imagine. The security concerns around him as well, and him being free just on that account of the lapse of the 24 hours isn't reason enough, given the sensitive nature of this case that is being handled. We'll get more updates on this, and perhaps even as we continue, we'll have a response from Arnold Maliba, and perhaps if you would, Mheshimiwa, just to give your response on this as we continue on the very same. Actually, just let's get some initial reactions as this unfolds. The face of it, of course, some suspects are in custody, but a lot is left to be answered.
I'm thinking we should actually be at a point where we look at it for what it is. That a crime was committed, a murder most foul was committed, and what we are being treated to is a lot of stories, and yes, like so many high-level murders, or other murders that are related to people in power, it's taking a lot of twists. But then at the end of the day, we must accept that a life was unjustly taken away. A murder so gruesome was committed, and we almost saw it coming, because there was a report of Barak having been abducted, and then it was there, and people took it so lightly, and then it went off, and then when it came out, now we are seeing the gravity of the matter. I'm thinking probably we are in for, we are going to be treated to some deep drama going forward, but the agencies that are in charge of security, the security agencies, I saw the DCI the other day saying that the murderers left a lot of clues everywhere. They were so sloppy in their work, and we hope that we are going to see people apprehended very fast. We are going to see even convictions, because what happens in such like cases is that they then take so long, and then people lose interest, and we are a country that has got very short memory and concentration on an issue. So tomorrow something else will come up, and then we will forget that Sharon must get justice in her death. Of course, you are mourned how you lived, your epitaph is written on how you lived, but even in death, you deserve justice. So those others are sideshows. Let us just ensure that she gets justice. Right. Because like I said, that was a murder most foul, so gruesome. Yes. And we must get to the deep of it.
MCA Wahinya, you've heard many politicians speak and give their side of the story. And are they doing a disservice by throwing hints out there as to who might be involved in this while investigations are ongoing?
Well, I'll say yes and no, because the comments that are being made by politicians in respect to the fact that they are even accusing certain personalities in our society, to me, that I consider as wrong, because really you can't possibly say a certain governor has done this and that, and yet you haven't even done any investigation, and you have not even come up with any conclusion. Yes. So the accusation beat that is being spoken in the country, to me, that is really wrong, and it should be stopped as a matter of urgency. But the comments, a mere comment, somebody speaking in, like the ladies who've just spoken right now at Jivanji, where they are, clamoring for the speedy processing of this case by the DPP and the DCI. That to me is in order. So long as you don't make any accusations, I have got no quarrel with it. You see, as Arnold has said, a crime is a crime, and people must be punished irrespectively. To me, what my biggest problem is, yes, at some point, of course, it will be forgotten. Just like any other cases in the past, people have died mysteriously, and we've really never seen anything coming out of it. And this is going to be certainly another one. My biggest problem is that we don't seem to have a certain body in this country that continuously pushes the organs that we have created to make sure that the citizens get to know what is going on. When I'm talking, I'm thinking about the Ombudsman's office, for example. This body is supposed to have been a body that is representing the ordinary citizenry, so that a situation like this, it can keep questioning on behalf of the citizens. What happened to Sharon? At some point when we seem to be forgetting, Ombudsman's office should really never forget.
Even keep pushing although there's, as we've witnessed in other cases, you know, a case is wound up real quick in the name of no evidence.
Yes.
Do you still think that they can continue pushing?
Yes, this is what personally I would think they should do, and I hope they've been given the necessary powers to be able to invoke other organs and even spend money, both internally and externally, to be able to put the DPP's office and DCI's and even the judiciary, to put them on their toes and to come up. You see, if the court, for example, rules that there is no enough evidence, the Ombudsman, as a body that is representing the ordinary citizens, it should be able to pick up that evidence at some point and probably bounce it off from another legal expert, so that we at the end of the day, Kenyans really conclude we have a closure in a particular matter. But when we are left thinking that somebody was paid money in the judiciary so that, you know, he can rule the way he did, or the so-called investigating officer, that, first of all, has become very notorious today.
Yes.
Investigating officers are the guys who are continuously being given money so that they don't investigate.
Yes.
And even when they do, they don't present that evidence before the court.
One of the other institutions, as you mentioned, Ombudsman, and you know, put ourselves there, and that is the media fraternity, is to follow up on such stories, and which is what we are actually vowing to do so, especially with this case of Sharon Otieno. But in the issue of public opinion, the court of public opinion, as you see what's happening right now, Jivanji, the protest, and we keep airing the pronouncements of various people on, you know, on this case, and with such pronouncements, they name leaders who they feel are responsible. Are we doing a disservice as media?
Well, again, I will slightly differ with Mheshimiwa Peter for saying that people should not say what they're saying. Like I said earlier on, I might not agree with exactly what they say and how they say it, but the right to do so is enshrined in the Constitution, and it's one thing that makes democracy alive.
Okay.
So they're entitled to their opinions, whatever they're saying. The problem is that if you look at it from, even from an introduction to Intelligence 101, there are possibly 5 people who could have interest there.
Yes.
Of course, we pick whom we want and we can run with.
Yes.
So all those, it's the investigating officers who are going to sit on the ground, piece their evidence together and ensure who comes in. But then for what people are doing and then pushing for that for me is it's an important process in a democracy. It's also good to ensure that we have leaders coming out to ensure that some things are actually worked out faster. The problem is that as they do that, you will always want to ask, why have they not done the same? Today I actually have seen everybody is condemning the death of Sharon, and they should by all means.
Yes.
But we saw ourselves divided, and when Baby Mutinda was shot, we did not have, there are other people who said that was not important. When Msando died, we need to have, but there are these things, I have said on this show repeatedly before, that an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So what finds Baby Mutinda could easily find you some other day.
Yes.
And we need to actually stop being selective in the way we actually go out and do these things. I have seen some other people who were very silent when Msando died, when Baby Pendo was shot in Kisumu. Those are issues we are actually acting like we do not know they really exist.
Unfortunately, some of those took a political twist.
Yeah, they took, even this one has taken a political twist.
Yes.
So there is no difference.
In terms of whoever's being mentioned and
there is no difference between the death of Baby Pendo and Baby Mutinda and Chris Msando and that of Sharon. Impunity must be stopped at all levels.
Yes.
So let people express themselves. But you know, as they do that, they also have got the legal responsibility. Yes. Coming with whatever they say, because it can be used against you in the court of law. Yeah, so even as they do that, they understand that. But let them air out, let there be pressure. That is the beauty of the democracy we actually took in. That you can actually protest for anything, that you can come out and speak out. And it will take me to these guys.
Yes.
That as they come out and speak for what is their own, they should also be speaking loudly for what is for the people who send them, because in Article 1 of the Constitution 3 talk where they get their initial power, that all sovereign power belongs to the people and it can be delegated, first of all, to the parliament and to the legislative assemblies, including theirs. So the power they have is also about the people. So as they speak about their interests, we will also like to see them come out more vocal and speak about the interests of the people of Nairobi. The people who send you there, by the way.
Yes. And we'll get to that, and we'll get back to the issue of, you know, the administrative concerns within the county assembly. But I believe you want to weigh in on this issue of the Sharon murder and the investigations continuing. The DPP this past weekend said that there's a concern of the public court, opinion court, is giving undue pressure as investigations continue. And some would say in some cases this is an open and shut case in the court of public opinion, given what the politicians are doing. Yeah, really, and that is why actually it is partly an illegality, really. You know, speaking about cases that are already in court is something that is prohibited, and the people who came up with that provision must have had a good reason for doing that, because it can easily sway the people in a direction that is really not. But in a democracy, but again, as Arnold says, yes, within a democratic environment, and that is the reason why personally I'm saying that, and I'm agreeing with Arnold that let the people speak. That is really not a problem, but they shouldn't make judgments. You see, we can speak and clamor for the case to actually proceed to its conclusive end, and we can insist the DPP does this and that, and the DCIs and so forth. But to really point an accusatory finger is where my concern is. That shouldn't, because you, like now, for example, in the case of the governor of Migori, you know, until the day the case is going to proceed to the very end is the only day when we shall know the very truth of the matter. Now, if we do what guys are only saying that he's a person of interest, which is fine. You know, I mean, it's saying that let him be investigated. This issue is not yet in court. At least it's at the very initial level. Yes, yes. We do not have everybody on board. Yes. This pressure is good. Pressure is agreeable. That's what I'm saying. Pressure is good, really. But let me just ask you, and probably this I can ask Arnold. You see, the DPP at the very end of the day, no matter how much we speak out there, you know, in the public and what have you, he will never take anybody to court unless he has sufficient evidence, or rather what he considers sufficient. As evidence. Because the judiciary will decide whether it's sufficient or not. You know, he can't pick anybody. We must actually because work. Politicians spoke. We must work with the history as a hindsight. Yes. Since time immemorial, ever since I became an adult at the turn of the century, I have realized one thing. At least I had that we will leave no stone unturned. And that informs the pressure you see here, that we have been promised in the days of old about stones that will be left unturned, and not even a single pebble has been tossed over. So people are here just ensuring they are supervising. You know, we the people, you know, the constitution, the preamble, we the people. And by the way, even the DCI is working on delegated authority. Otherwise, we as people can actually decide to investigate on our own and administer justice. But then according to what we have agreed in the constitution is that we have administered and we are doing what is rightfully meaningful to us, or rather entitled to us, like you would say, that we putting pressure, asking questions, and they're also volunteering information. That is how to volunteer information. This year should not even be complaining, because you pick from what people are saying, and as a good investigator you start drawing your graphs and just getting what works and what doesn't work. So for me, so long as you ensure that you are not slandering someone and you are not breaking the law, speak out. Speak out as much as possible. Which is really something. And push for investigations to really be time. And that pressure should go on, because you know, Mheshimiwa here is forgetting that some of those things we actually things have happened in this country and people are told, relax, we know what we are doing, when in real sense they don't know what they are doing. For example, today now everybody is speaking about the national debt, when just a few years ago you will stand up to speak and you told, look up here, you know, we know what we are doing. We've got guys who went to IMA, who went to proper schools, they went to Harvard. So let people speak. We are not going to wait until tomorrow to say we wish we spoke. Let people speak. There's a certain area, Mark, that personally I would like us to even go deeper into. As people are speaking, you see, the very heart of the matter, this is where the investigations, for example, are being done. And we know very well cases, Arnold, are usually lost at that level. At the investigating officer and the DPP too. I mean, we are not saying DPP is an angel. That's where the cases can be compromised. So at that point where the investigation is going on so that they proceed to court, who can examine for us this so that we know that this is beyond reproach?
Ourselves?
That is a part that we need.
Ourselves?
Yes. Well, as a lawyer, for example, you're one of them. But you see, we should probably bring about, and that's why I mentioned Ombudsman's office.
Yes.
We should bring about a certain body that can go over there and check on behalf of the citizens that the real proper machinery of investigation was deployed, and that it has gone to the very, very end, beyond which we can't do anything else. That confirmation at that level is what we lack here.
Okay.
Mark, there is an aspect to it that we probably might forget, that impunity has moved from Nairobi of old and gone to counties.
To the county level.
That part also must actually, we must also look at it, that we devolved, even as we devolved resources, we also devolved our bad manners from Nairobi to the counties, because you realize there's a lot of Nairobi type of drama, Nairobi of old. You know when I mean Nairobi, I'm meaning the national government of old. The kind of stuff that used to happen, that governors cannot take criticism. For example, they beat up. We've seen it here, even even here in the city today, that if you criticize the governor, you are beaten up. You remember the issue about the hotel in Boulevard, where the former NCBD chairperson was being beaten up and roughed up. That story somehow has died. Yes. You realize why this pressure must actually be so high up there? Yes. Somehow that has gone away, and we do not know what happened to those cases. No one even remembers if those cases are going on or not. But that is impunity. So down there, I think we also need to have this kind of pressure going on, and people just realizing that it's not just good things that came with the devolution.
Yes.
Some of our bad manners too
trickled down to the county level. Yes. So let's get back and just the latest update on this in terms of the latest information. New information that we're getting is Migori governor is with the Kisumu DCI, who of course is questioning or grilling him over the Sharon Otieno murder, and hopefully we'll be able to get something from Oko Kusa in Kisumu in terms of an update on this. But let's now just wrap up on what we were discussing earlier, and that is the administration of the county assembly within Nairobi. And you brought up something that was quite interesting. Yes, you've talked about arrogance, and it's been repeated over and over again. There are claims of fraudulent awarding of tenders by the speaker within the county, and then misappropriation of funds. And then there was this issue of her flying first class for personal issues, using, of course, the county resources. But above it all, you've said it's arrogant and how she's been running business within the county for the last 1 year. But is there something else at play in the background? Are there other strings being pulled?
I really don't think there are any. I'll be very honest with you, because the only personality or people who would be pulling strings in respect to the Elachi saga would be at the president level, for example, and his deputy, or at the governor's level. And to be very honest, we haven't seen any of these two coming into play. They have given us a free hand.
So the governor is not in any way behind this?
The governor is absolutely not involved.
Okay.
Exactly what you've heard him saying in the media, and I think we saw it today morning, where he's saying that he's even telling us that as members of county assembly, as we proceed with the impeachment, we must confine ourselves within the legal procedures and what is laid down within our standing orders.
He can't even come through and, you know, he's telling you to follow the law, which means, you know, you have to finish this job. He can't even come in for the speaker.
That I wouldn't really say that. I wouldn't really say that he's interested in seeing Elachi exiting.
But he's only advising you to follow the law.
To follow the law.
He's not even advising you to settle this issue amicably.
As you have suggested earlier that you could actually call
he hasn't done.
Why is he not doing that?
And maybe
is that an avenue or channel that you can pursue?
Very easily, yes. If our leadership, like I said, if our leadership were to, because we give them that mandate to think at a certain level on our behalf. So we are not again foreign to our leaders. If our leaders say the direction is this that we are going to follow, that's the direction.
Who are those leaders?
So, the leader of the majority, leader of minority, chief whip, and his deputies.
Minority whip.
Yes, the whip, the whips, the majority and minority. This is our I'm talking about political leadership.
So to speak, they're the ones behind this impeachment.
I understand that.
Yes.
You know, what's still interesting is that Mheshimiwa Peter here says that the governor has only told them to follow the law.
And I know why.
Yet the governor is a peace-loving guy. He shows up to broker peace between warring factions. But in this particular one, the governor is only telling them, please follow the law.
And I know why, Arnold. I'll tell you, you see, and that's the reason why. Like, you remember in my remarks earlier on, I had said that we had attempted, actually, really, we were actually going to impeach Elachi about 1 month ago. We had pushed all the way to the door. She was at the exit point, but we said, close the door, let her remain. And even many other occasions, we never went to the point where the media came and saw that we actually impeaching. The other small cases where we are contemplating.
At the point that you're at, is there going back?
Well, first of all, now the goose has been cooked.
Yes.
We've reached a point almost of no return. But let me not say that we can't revisit it. Because if I do that, then I'm speaking on behalf of my leaders. And that I wouldn't do. Our leaders, at the end of the day, are the ones who will give us direction, because we have given them the mandate.
And the
so far, they're the ones who have been hell-bent on impeachment.
Well, no. The matter that has arisen in respect, and by that, let me tell you, it is bi-directional, in the sense that even our leaders sometimes will receive information from us. Because when for example, she is behaving in an arrogant manner, she's behaving arrogant to a person, to a group of people, to a collection of, and so forth and so forth. So all this arrogancy is being picked up from all quarters, and it is culminating at the level of our leadership. So again, it is a bi-direction issue. So we also go to the leadership, and we also complain.
Him back. I would like much more to go back to the issue of the County Assembly Service Board. You were very non-committal when it came to speaking about your representation in there. Because the CEO of that board is the Speaker. The Speaker is the chair of that particular board. And
CEO is an outsider.
The CEO should be the person. The Speaker is now. As in
that's the clerk.
The clerk is the
secretary.
The clerk is the secretary, which essentially in all boards that is the CEO in that particular setting. In that particular setting. You guys are not saying anything about the secretary or the clerk and the role he plays in this. You are not coming out very clearly on the role of the County Assembly Service Board. And whereas your reasons could be justified, I'm trying to look at the mechanics and how this one can actually be made to work. Because your leadership is actually a good leadership. Chege, the other guys, all brilliant guys, by the way. And that is why I said that in the County Assembly, there is no idiot in there. There is no single one person who does not understand what they are doing. They're very brilliant. And that is why they have actually sent him here. You've realized that the majority leader is missing, the minority leader is missing. Both the whips, Chege and the other guy, are also not here. But they've brought in a very eloquent guy to just pitch out and play cool politics. But inside there, guys actually, he looks like he's so cool, but the warrior guys have drawn their daggers. So you guys, I want you to talk about the County Assembly Service Board, its role, and then the committees. Because again, we also... What are your committee, the leadership of the committees doing? Because the committee leadership in assemblies and legislatures is very, very important. What are those chairs doing?
If indeed the push is about the
because some of those challenges are actually at the level of the chairs of committees. What have those guys done?
You see, you see this matter when the idea of impeachment was was hatched. Was hatched really. But many discussions, first of all, come into play. We have to have, first of all, let me answer you. You see, the County Assembly Service Board really is a management body.
Yes.
They play very little in respect to the politics of the day.
They play a lot.
But what about
your representative?
What about the appropriation of
that is the apex.
Yes.
Of how they you see, when you talk about management, that is the politics.
That's exactly. Actually, it's the management. It's an equivalent of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
So what responsibility do they have?
Their responsibility is management of the County Assembly. Okay. Remember, there's the money issue. There's passing of certain laws or certain the decisions, for example, to buy.
So they should be held accountable with the same demands or same charges that you put against the Speaker.
If the Speaker goes, the County Assembly Service Board must go.
Yes. I agree with you.
She can't do anything in a vacuum. The framework within which she works is that board.
Yes. If, for example, it was determined at the County Service Board, for example, that she should spend, say, the 550,000 to go to Dubai to pick a honorarium, whatever, then naturally we can revisit the matter of the County Service Board. But you see, that is not the case. You see, if it was the case, then Arnold I agree with him. Because really, if it is decided at this level, or even the traveling to America to spend 600,000 in a first-class ticket, if all these things is the county service board, then certainly we cannot vindicate Madam Elachi. But that is not the case.
All this happened without the service board.
Correct. And I even added
knowing about
exactly.
it.
I even told you.
Even misappropriation.
Remember, I even told you another one. Where the county service board actually decided to bring in. They brought forward the names of the acting people, the people who are acting in the capacity of the clerk and his deputy, and it was discussed at the county service board level, minuted, and all of us actually read the minutes. But at the point of execution, to make it happen, the name of one person has been changed and replaced with another one.
Mheshimiwa is playing some very good
highest level
of the person who does implementation, the person in charge of enforcing that is the secretary who is the clerk.
Yes.
Because when we talk about money leaving, who does the authorization?
You see,
who is that day-to-day person who ensures that the administrative part of things runs in the county assembly? The clerk.
You see, the clerk was missing. We are replacing the clerk and the deputy and other officials under them. Now, at that point in time, these people are inactive until they are gazetted.
Yes.
So the documentation that is going to then be used for purposes of gazetting is going to originate from the speaker, given that she's our leader. That document that she developed was bearing names other than the ones that were agreed at the county service board level.
The people at fault here are the members of the county assembly service board. It's impossible to divorce the speaker from the actions of the speaker.
Does she have free hand in everything?
No. It's impossible to divorce the two. She doesn't have that.
Yes.
They have to be discussed.
So if you're honest in this drive to impeach Elachi, the speaker, then in the name of better administration at the county assembly, then as he pointed out, is she the only sole person to go?
I agree. I mean, if that is what I'm saying. If these matters were discussed at the county assembly service board level, then obviously we cannot accuse her the way we are doing, because then we must then go back to the county, to the very origin.
Because there has been...
these things were not done at that level. That is where our problem is.
That's what I'm saying. There's something much more to this. Of course, the arrogance part of it is a serious issue, by the way, in management and leadership. So that is something that she can work on. But on the other aspect, them singling out Honorable Beatrice Elachi and saying that she carries all the blame for things that are not going right. Is, in my opinion, dishonest, because she has got a batch of guys she works with, about 8 of them.
Yes, agreed.
What is the role of those guys in this mess?
Let me give you an example.
Until they came and delegated it to you. But have you realized that the guys at the county assembly service board have come and delegated to you their problems at the board. And by this she was actually chairing a board meeting when all drama began, the initial one. I saw her say that this board, for me, is the deceased. Is it capacitated enough? Are your chairs, are your committees functional?
Committees are functional.
They're not. But if they were functional, we would never have gotten to this level of singling out one person.
Let me tell you, what the problem, one of the biggest problems we were having, like I said, is that changes, the rulings and the decisions are made at the county assembly service board. But changes are made thereafter. Let me tell you,
by one person.
If you send me Mark, probably at some other point, maybe I'll get the opportunity to bring this evidence to you. Chances are that the county assembly service board actually made a ruling, or rather made a resolution for Elachi to travel probably even to America, or probably even to go to
But she's entitled to some of those, like some of you are also entitled to some of those things.
What is authorized by the county assembly service board is probably, you see, I don't want to say, conclusively that that's the case. But you'll discover that probably she was authorized to travel, yes. But upon the actual execution of her travel,
it wasn't done in the manner.
Exactly.
Now, can I ask this?
Why? Remember, she's in a position of authority.
Can I ask this?
Everybody more or less works under her. If she coerced somebody, or maybe influenced, because power is power, and power influences. If she influences somebody who then released a first-class ticket, that's an anomaly.
If she gave you people your first-class tickets,
would you be okay with it? But then
I told you categorically here a couple of minutes ago, we are not interested in partaking in an illegality.
If your interests are taken care of, will you care about
what she does? Let me help you, Arnold. Even if I find my own clever mechanism of traveling that first class, even if I find it, and I go to America, for example, somewhere down the line, I will pay for it. because audits are there.
Okay.
So me being a person of sound mind,
Yeah.
I'm able to reason easily and say, why, rather than do this and postpone a problem, let me just not do it now.
In the same spirit,
yes.
My question, and I'll still push this further, my question would be, we have seen the governor do some things that are not proper.
Yeah.
Why have you not in the same spirit,
E.g.
not pushed this?
E.g.
You will tell me Nairobi is running fine?
Well, it's improving.
No. Is it running fine or not?
100% I can.
There is another angle to this as well. And you talk about the arrogance, and yes, there's the issues, because if you throw it out to the public that she's flying first class, and in her defense she says it's about medical condition, people say that's ridiculous. Many people fly economy, and that shouldn't be her luxury. Then of course you'd have the public support and anger on your side.
Yeah.
But there's also the other angle that in the name of what you're calling arrogance, she has been a no-nonsense speaker who has tried to straighten things out. And in straightening things out, you become unpopular. Is she being punished for actually doing her job?
No, she's not been punished, really. Because there's one thing I heard people saying, that she called the DCI to come and investigate us. Yeah, or investigate the assembly generally in the way it is running, together with the EACC. That's not a crime. I mean, being concerned that there is an anomaly, please come, calling a body to come and help us. That's not a problem, and nobody is going to punish her for that, really. And if you can, if you look at the litany,
is this the case that she actually called them into?
Well, there is talk within our circles that she actually did this, and like I'm saying, it is not a bad thing.
Are people happy?
No, we see it's not us being investigated as an MCA.
Yeah.
She is calling the DCIs and ESCs to investigate the runnings of the assembly, the procurement business that you said you mentioned, and that's a good. And if you look at the litany of accusations we have given her here, that doesn't feature, because to us calling anybody to come, and in any case the DCIs really does not need to be called. If there's, and even the Auditor General, for example, if they think that they need to audit anything, this is a public money and this is a public outfit. Okay. It can be audited at any time. And that's why there's nowhere we are accusing her of calling nobody. She can call anybody for all we care. We have no problem with that. We are very focused on exactly what her problem is. And that's the big one that is not in here is that arrogance that I told you. Her management as a politician managing the assembly is wanting. Because we are fragmented like you've never seen before.
I mean, you talked about the team building and you said it worked. Clearly it hasn't if you're fragmented. But your concern on this, because there's some people who are actually saying Elachi is no nonsense, she is training people out, and that is not towing the line according to the MCAs, and that's why she's being impeached.
I would chuckle at that, because if she's no nonsense, I would want to see the results. Yes. For everything someone claims to, there must be a result to that end. I do not know how that strictness has actually delivered on the legislative role, how many bills are working out there. I know that Nairobi has got so many pieces of legislation that are yet to be brought to par to the Constitution 2010, 5 years since we got into devolution. There are so many things that need to be done right. So I'm yet to see the result of that. We should be seeing the results out of that. Where was she when Sonko was playing around here and everybody else was going everywhere complaining about the city stinking? Where was she as the leader of the legislature? She is the spokesperson for these guys, at least as an institution. She is the spokesperson. We seldom hear of her speaking about the affairs of the country and how the country is running. Yet she mans or she womans the other arm. So I do not see where that strictness comes from. At least I've not seen the results. What I'm actually seeing here that is double standard is that these guys are so vociferous when fighting for their interest, but they are quite very light when they fight for the interest of the people of Nairobi. Things are not okay in Nairobi. All of us agree to that. We have got red paint everywhere. They do not, and you see, like the people who manufacture vehicles here, you know, Tanzanians are buying their BRTs in Nairobi. These guys and Namata and other people, and they really don't care even about the new plan. For example, the county assembly. For example, how are you people ensuring that the money that JICA put in to ensure that the Nairobi Integrated Urban Master Plan works? It's not. It's none of your business. You guys are not pushing that. But now you are here fighting for your interests. The rest of us are actually going to watch, and at some point, then we might actually have the people's...
If you look at this, Arnold, actually, there's very little, in fact, all the documentations, if you have any, including the media and all these things that is playing today, it is very difficult for you to actually pick anything that has something to do with us fighting for anything that concerns us, really. I know you may have heard somebody saying that I didn't get a trip or I didn't get this. I
didn't get audience with her. Yes, someone else said they didn't get audience with the speaker. Yes.
Audience is good because I mean, if I can't get audience,
but honestly,
she's probably blocking me from talking to her because she has chosen that I'm not, probably on a camp. You creating camps again she
doesn't have a camp. You guys voted, all of you voted against her. What camp does he have?
What I'll tell you, Arnold, is that there is no way we can oversight the government, for example, unless we have harmony. And harmony, first of all, is one. And secondly, is a coordinated assembly that works together towards that goal.
That I give you.
So what are we doing now?
Yeah.
We are stepping back temporarily to ensure clean up the mess first, and develop this machinery in the manner in which it should be, so that now we can move forward. And that's what we are doing.
Is this disharmony, you being, fragmented and the mess, is it all Elachi, or are there other people that you will pursue in your impeachment for the better of the city?
So if Elachi goes,
yes,
everything will be okay?
Well, not exactly. She can't be the she's not the person carrying all the mess, really. That I can't say that.
So what else will you pursue? For
example, the County Assembly Service Board, as he's saying. I mean, when I listen to Arnold, that's probably an area we should be visiting.
Probably.
Yeah, it should be visited, and maybe even we should change certain laws so that we make it a little bit more answerable.
It is
more answerable.
The County Assembly Services Board Act of 2017 gives you, it makes it very elaborate in how you can engage it. Why I've kept on asking this is that I've realized there is no reference to that board, yet it plays a very important role. Not just in the County Governments Act 2012, especially Section 17, but then I'm talking about a whole act about that act. And you guys are not making any reference to it.
In the County Governments Act.
In conclusion, because we have just maybe 3 minutes to conclude this, are you honest in your push for impeachment, or is it just for your comfort? Because as you've said, nothing else. It doesn't sound like it's about the Nairobian. It sounds like it's about you not being comfortable with someone who's arrogant as your manager.
Actually, Mark, to be very honest with you, it's all about the Nairobians. I'll tell you, politics is a very simple game. We don't deliver here in Nairobi, and we don't get elected. It's a simple partnership between us and the people. And the only way we can be able to deliver in terms of development in Nairobi and proper governance and so forth, and garbage collection, all these things, is only when we have a proper working system back at the assembly. We don't do anything ourselves really practically on the ground, but we implement these issues. We implement them through the governor. And for us to be able to engage the governor, our house must be in order. If I focus on my own little things that, like now, for example, they say we like going places.
Which is not bad. Which is not bad entirely.
And they are benchmarking trips, and some of them are really, really, really important. But nevertheless, if we focus on that, then what we are doing really, we are being short-sighted. If we are not seeing beyond 2022. You cannot be elected in this Nairobi, my friend, including the governor. In fact, particularly the governor. If the governor being the very head of this county, and us guys being elected at the member of county level.
But you give him 14 days to return to Nairobi.
Agreeable. These things are going to happen. But I'm saying if they don't, Arnold, I'm with you. We shall be punished at the end of the day, really.
Okay.
And I'm normal enough to know that that's not a good thing.
No turning back in terms of impeachment?
He said they can change their mind.
No. I said that the only people who can make us change our mind
are the four leadership. Good.
Because our leadership, and I like what you said. Yeah. They are clever guys, you call them.
I know them because
sharp guys, you said.
I know.
Brilliant. You used very many times.
I know them.
That is exactly what they are. Once they diagnose these things properly and cut it into pieces and rebuild it, they'll come up with a decision, and that's how we shall go.
All right. Your final comment on
my
this.
final comment on this Nairobi mess is just number one, that every war is solved in the boardroom. The basis and the premise upon which every war has been fought has been to get a bargaining ground when it comes to the boardroom. So even this war they are fighting, eventually when they get to sit down, the four leaders he speak about, some of them of whom I've worked with in some other spaces elsewhere, is that they then will have a bargaining ground that, we have already locked you out, so you have to give some concessions. But truth be told, that the Nairobi County Assembly and generally the Nairobi leadership has failed the people of Nairobi. We have got a woman rep who only shows up to show photos on social media when she's cycling. We have got a governor whom you can only see if you light up a fire. But on serious issues that pertains Nairobi, he's just about recording people on phone and doing drama, showmanship. But there is little to show because Nairobi has got a very good master plan. None of it is being adhered to. We are seeing a lot of games. Yes. We have got a senator who also is just doing drama. Doing a lot of PR out there, showing up in football jerseys, looking a cool guy looking around there, but he cannot oversight the governor. Right. So we do not elect socialites or showmanship guys to go out there and show PR. We have got MCAs who also are good at working with the governor just to show solidarity. We do not send these guys there to become good, but if they are nasty the way they are nasty to the speaker, but they are nasty for the good of the people of Nairobi, they will have the support of the people of Nairobi. All right. So to wind up, I think the leadership in Nairobi must have a seat down amongst themselves, organize themselves, and then deliver for Nairobians. You still have got 4 years to go, and we have got a lot of hope in you people because, honestly, it's one of the best leaderships we've had.
And they have their work cut out for them. Thank you, Arnold Maliba, for your thoughts on this, and really appreciate he's a public policy analyst, and Mheshimiwa from Ngando ward here in Dagoretti South constituency, Bwana Peter Wahinya. Thank you for your thoughts, and also threw in some thoughts on this issue of the Sharon Otieno murder. We hadn't prepared you for that, but thank you as well for giving us your response to this, a story that we'll keep following. But first of all, let's look at the entertainment session, and of course we have Usha Jose waiting on the other side.
All right, Mark, starting of course with today's meme, which I'm not sure how relevant it is, being that the increased VAT on petroleum was suspended by a Bungoma court, but KRA does say they did not receive any notice to that effect. So let's just say it's complicated, but you guys keep sending these things. So apparently this is the winning one of today. On the new music, now Willie Paul has released a new video with Calligraph Jones. I know, right? I am just as much in shock as you are. It's known as Bora Uhai. Take a look. Oh. See, now I don't even have any way to answer to that. Well, thank you.
You're welcome, Usha. Thank you for the entertainment. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, that's their drama. But hey, I know you, and I'm all for you in entertainment segment here on NTV today, and I hope we'll be having more back tomorrow, as I'll also be on NTV today, God willing. I'll be back at 1 o'clock with the updates from around the country. Stay with us. Good afternoon. Welcome to a 1 o'clock news update. I'm Mark Masai, and we start from Homa Bay High Court, where Michael Oyamo, the personal assistant of the Migori Governor Okoth Obado, was expected to be arraigned earlier on today. That is at 9 a.m. But as at 12 p.m. when we spoke to Bernardo Juang, he hadn't been arraigned, and there was concern that he may be or he may have been transferred to the Kisii High Court. And this comes as Okoth Obado is being questioned and grilled at the moment at the Kisumu DCI office over the Sharon Otieno murder. Bernardo Juang, what can you update us? Has Oyamo been arraigned there, or as had been suspected in Kisii?
Well, thank you very much, Mark. We are still here at the Homa Bay High Court, whereby Michael Oyamo, one of the suspects in Sharon Otieno's murder, Rongo University student who was abducted and murdered, and her body later found dumped in Kodera Forest. Since morning, we've been here. This follows the order that was given by senior resident magistrate Lester Simeyu, who ordered that Oyamo be arraigned in court here in the morning at around 9. And since that time, he has not been arraigned here. And remember what she said yesterday. She said that in case Oyamo won't be arraigned in court at 9 a.m. in the morning, he will be a free man. And currently, we can't tell whether Oyamo is a free man now or is still in a police custody. And from the reliable source we managed to talk to, Oyamo is not in Homa Bay police station cells. And we remember our team is in Kisii. We got some information he might be taken to Kisii law court, where Kisii High Court, where he will be he will take plea, and our team is there. And apart from that, Mark, Migori County Governor Okoth Obado is currently in Kisumu being grilled by the DCI, being grilled by the investigators following this case. Remember, he was being linked to this since with some issues, saying Oyamo was his PA. So we are still here waiting whether Oyamo will be brought to this court or not. Remember, our team is Kisumu, they are waiting there. Our team is in Kisii, waiting there. And we are here in Homa Bay County, in Homa Bay High Court. We are waiting whether Oyamo, in case he will be brought before Justice Joseph Karanja here, will bring you more updates over that, Mark.
Quite a big question there as to where he'll be arraigned. That is Michael Oyamo, given the 24-hour extension in custody that he had been given yesterday, and that might lapse while all this movement is happening. And now another report or another version has it that he might be in transit to Nairobi to face charges here. We'll get an update on that and confirmation on the same. And as this has been happening for a better part of the morning, there has been a protest to what is going on in terms of the murder of Sharon Otieno, and as well as weighing in on the investigations that are continuing. And this has been from the Jivanji Gardens to the Nairobi CBD, and Zainab Ismail has been following up on this, and hopefully will be giving us an update on the highlights of the concerns. But we aired a bit of it earlier on in terms of some of the representatives, that is ladies from the civic society, on their concerns about how this story has been handled, as well as the sentiments that are being put out there in terms of the moral issues and questions around the very lady Sharon Otieno, and that not being an issue that should have focus at all, because a life too, in fact, were lost as Sharon was pregnant, 7 months pregnant at the time of her murder. And Zainab is now ready with an update from the CBD.
Indeed, thank you so much, Mark. We're here at the office of the President along Harambee Avenue at the Nairobi CBD. What has been happening are protests against the brutal murder of Rongo University Sharon Otieno last week, and this has been led by a number of organizations, including women rights activists from the grassroots levels, as well as the Kenya University's student organization, just demanding for justice for the death of Sharon Otieno. And I'm joined by just some of those representatives of those organizations to give us their sentiments in regards to the reason why they are holding this protest. They are also calling for countrywide protests against that brutal murder against Sharon. Maybe I'll start with a representative here from the Kenya University Student Organization just to give us his views in regards to the protests happening today. Thank you so much. Maybe just start with your name and then tell us exactly what is this that you're demanding for exactly apart from justice.
My name is David Odhiambo. I'm a Secretary General, Kenya University Student Organization. And today we are here in solidarity with one of our students, who is Sharon Otieno. The demos that we have done today, we were sending a quick signal, we were sending a message to the government, to the DCI, and to the authorities that are concerned with this matter, that we want speedy organization or investigation as far as this case is concerned. Because Sharon should not be buried until those who killed her are brought to book. Because Martin Luther King said that our lives begin to end the moment we became silent on things that matters. As student organization, as student leaders, as Kenya University Student Organization, we cannot be silent because we don't know who will be the next. We cannot be silent, so we decided to come here to send a quick signal, but that within 72 hours, if Governor Obado will not be arrested, within 72 hours, if those who killed Sharon are not brought to book, within 72 hours, if those who killed Sharon are not revealed, we are going to call a nationwide strike. Each and every campus will strike where they are because we want justice for Sharon. Therefore, we demand justice. If that justice will not be revealed by 72 hours, we will paralyze every activity in this city. We will paralyze everything. We will go in the streets and we demand justice. And therefore, Governor Obado should step aside so that investigations can begin. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And maybe just to listen in to a representative from one of the organizations who have just filed a petition here at the office of the President to give us her views as well.
Good afternoon, I'm Beatrice Elachi, a convener of Grassroots Women Initiative Network and the organizers of this protest. And our message today is to the government officers that are tasked to bring justice to us. We are asking them to speed up the process of justice because it has taken a number of days. All we keep doing is having comments and very rogue comments from the human court. This is unacceptable. Before we can say anything else, we want to say that human rights is human rights and the right to life must be guarded selfishly. It is not a matter of who you are or identity politics that we are going to stand here and say, no, we are siding with Governor Obado because these women have become this and that. It's not about the moral fabric. The moral fabric has been torn for a long time, and Sharon is our making of a society. So we must say no. We must say no to femicide. We are saying no to profiling of our women. They have killed 7 girls. Every year a girl is killed alongside a politician, and some of them, those cases during Keriako Tobiko's time were never brought to book. We have never received justice for this lady. There was the case of Mercy Keino. Why are these girls killed alongside politicians? Is politics and impunity going to rule over human rights? We are saying no. We are abiding with the Universal Human Rights Declaration, and we are saying rights to life must be guarded selfishly. And we are very glad that the University's Students Association has joined us, and we are saying we are going to hold this protest for as long as Sharon is going to be buried, to say no to femicide, to say no to impunity, to say no. And by the way, we understand that those people were en route. They were escaping. We are asking the government to confiscate their travel documents. We know they tried running to Tanzania. We are asking the government to intervene. Wanyanganya documents zao. We are not going to cry as grassroots women.
So much.
We are tired.
That is just a few of the representatives here at the on this protest that are demanding justice for the brutal murder of Rongo University student Sharon Otieno. And we'll be bringing you more details, and we understand that due to time, but obviously we understand that we'll also be heading to Parliament to deliver their petition. We'll bring you more details in regards to the protests that are ongoing here in Nairobi. Back to you, Mark.
Zainab Ismail, thank you for that update. And just to remind the viewers that as this is happening, the Migori Governor Okoth Obado is being questioned, and he had presented himself at the DCI office in Kisumu. Hopefully we'll be able to get an update from our Kisumu office and correspondent, that is Oko Kusa. To another big story, a 27-year-old man has been arrested in connection to the murder of the 9-year-old boy in Narok South on Sunday night. He is also accused of assaulting the victim's grandmother and sister.
Tension remains high despite the calm that was reported during the weekend. This is after the attack on the boy and his family at Esemwendwa village in Narok South, where clashes between two communities continue. A suspect has been arrested in connection to the killing of the minor. Confirming the arrest during a security committee meeting this morning, County Commissioner George Natembea said the man was identified after he was found with bloodstains on his clothes by members of the public who handed him over to the police. Police are also investigating rape and defilement claims. The victims are still receiving treatment at Tenwek Mission Hospital. The clash started after a herder was killed last week at Nkoben village. Nur Abdulaziz, NTV.
A 38-year-old man is on the run after beating his elder brother to death over the inheritance of their late mother's house at Mudwaini in Nyeri County. Fenazio Marine beat his brother David Derry after an argument over who was to inherit their late mother's house and the plot of land the 3-bedroom house sits on. According to detectives who analyzed the scene of the crime, the deceased was hit several times on the head using a blunt object as he was bleeding from the ears. Police are still pursuing the suspect who was going into hiding.
Na ule ndugu inasemekana alimuua. Alikuja kwangu mwendo wa saa 6 na 23 usiku. Akaniita, nikaamka akaniambia ati wako na mzozo na brother yangu. Nikuje niwasuluhishie hiyo maneno. Lakini kwa sababu ilikuwa usiku sana, nikamwambia akuje alale tu. Alafu tutaamkiana asubuhi tuongee hiyo maneno iishe. Sasa wakati tu nimeamka kukuja kuangalia kile kitu walikuwa wananiitia, ndio nimekuta sasa hiyo mambo imefanyika.
Wamekuwa kibishana juu shamba kutoka kitambo. Na sasa since mama yao amepass tu juzi, so I think issue ilikuwa ni nyumba yao sasa. Juu wote wale wanataka control over hii nyumba.
Baringo County Commissioner Henry Wafula is on the spot for allegedly uttering remarks which area leaders term as disrespectful to Deputy President William Ruto. The leaders have asked Wafula to apologize to the DP or face the consequences. They're threatening to have him transferred from the region.
A section of leaders from Baringo County are championing for immediate removal of the county commissioner Henry Wafula over the remarks he allegedly made concerning the Deputy President William Ruto. The leaders claim that his utterance is a mockery to supporters of DP Ruto.
The President and the Deputy President are one. We need to respect both sides. So you cannot come. I don't like if that county commissioner say that, then he's not the right person to be in Baringo.
Kamuren accuses Wafula of misleading him in security matters affecting the region.
I was wondering if a county commissioner can mislead a member of parliament on security issues. Then that is not right at all.
I will be among those who will join in demanding for apology. Because it demeans the sovereign will of the people of Baringo County.
Hata usiende huko nani? Sisi tunamaliza hapa tu. Ama ni nani? Yes, atuambie ni nini ama maana? Yes, maana sisi hatujakosea mtu na kama ni ulimi ilitereza, I apologize kwamba ulimi ilitereza. Maana kusema I don't respect you, I don't recognize.
Members of the county assembly have also threatened to rally their supporters in demonstrations to push for his redeployment if the Ministry of Interior fails to address their concerns.
Wafula ana heshima kwa mheshimiwa MCA, ana heshima kwa MP, kwa governor. MCA anasema wewe ni kidogo sana, hata ustahili kuniongelesha, ungeenda ongelesha ACC. Ndio. Kwani yeye ametoka wapi? I want to say Sisi kama MCAs tumeongea na tumeamua, msipotoa yeye tutatoa yeye. We will come in his office and we will use the power of the people.
The leaders were speaking during a church fundraiser at Kapropita AIC Church. Kevin Mutai, NTV.
Two journalists, Irene Mugo and Lydia Nyawera, were yesterday arrested and detained for over an hour at Mukurweini police station. Albert Nderito was wearing a T-shirt printed Kieleweke to an event presided over by the Deputy President in Nyeri on Sunday. Now, Mugo, a reporter with the Daily Nation, and Nyawera of the Standard Group were working on a report of a man arrested for wearing a T-shirt carrying a message deemed to be against Deputy President William Ruto. According to the family, Nderito was required to pay a cash bail of 50,000 shillings. The two journalists were arrested shortly after interviewing the family. Despite identifying themselves, the two were held for more than an hour as the officers demanded they delete contents of the interview for them to be released.
We got a tip-off that a young man had been arrested yesterday and he was being held at Mukurweini police station, and it was unclear as to what he had been charged with or why he was under arrest. So we reached out to the area OCPD, but he did not answer our calls, he did not respond to our messages. So we came to Mukurweini, where we found the family members waiting for their relative to be released. Once he was released, we started speaking with him, and once we were speaking with him, we took a photo of the young man. And at that point, that is when we were asked to step into the police station.
When we were done shooting a video for our digital platform, there was an officer who summoned us, and we were detained in the Deputy OCPD's office for almost an hour. They demanded that we delete the photos and the videos that we had taken, of which we obliged for them to let us go.
They would not tell us what we were charged with, but they would not let us leave either. And at that point, that is when now we realized that we were being held, and it was not clear for what or under what circumstances we were being arrested or detained.
And the Kenya Union of Journalists has already pronounced itself on this incident, that it shall not be tolerated such incidences of harassment of journalists while in the line of duty. And it's funny how when trying to kill a story, you actually give it more life. Now, the regional retailer Tuskys has kicked off a long-term corporate social responsibility program geared towards improving livelihoods of the disadvantaged in the society. The project, which was launched in Nakuru, dubbed Tuskys in the Community, is designed to celebrate the legacy of the late founder Joram Kamau and will be rolled out at an estimated cost of 30 million shillings. The initiative will prioritize on matters education and early childhood development, among others. In Lengenet Primary School in Rongai, Nakuru County, all the classrooms have been equipped with new materials. The retail chain traces its roots to early 1983 when the late Joram Kamau ventured into business. And for a bit now, Zimbabwe opposition leader Nelson Chamisa has threatened to swear himself in as president. Vietnam. The locals believe that the snake meat is very nutritious. Meat has been used over generations.
I don't know whether you give us an appetite or just made us not want to have lunch. It is time to get sporty on NTV at 1. I'm Warote Kiru. On the national football team, Harambee Stars takes on Malawi in an international friendly at the Kasarani Stadium this afternoon. The friendly is an opportunity for both coaches, Sebastian Minye of Kenya and Ronnie van Legweden of Malawi, to gauge their players. The two teams had contrasting results in their weekend Africa Cup of Nations qualifier matches. Kenya bagged a famous 1-0 win over four-time African champions Ghana, while the Flames of Malawi got a 3-0 thrashing from Morocco. Kenya next plays Ethiopia, while Malawi are up against Cameroon in back-to-back AFCON 2019 qualifier ties in early October. The game kicks off at 3 p.m. with VIP tickets retailing at 500 shillings and terrace tickets going for 100 shillings. Kenya's Tong Il-Modu national team stamped its authority to retain the Mombasa Open Tong Il-Modu International Martial Arts Championship for the 6th year running. Team Kenya reigned supreme by winning 39 medals overall, 14 of which were gold medals, 13 silver and 12 bronze medals in what the Kenyan participants referred to one of the most tough competitions since its inception. Philippines national team placed second, while the Nigerian team was third. Team Kenya was coached by Ibrahim Mushumba. The Grandmaster of the World Tong Il-Modu Federation, Dr. John Husuk, said that he was grateful for the tremendous growth of the sport in Kenya and that he was looking forward to expanding to the rest of Africa. Let's cross the borders, and no Ronaldo, no problem for Portugal, who beat Italy 1-0.
Arodi, thank you for that. And it's now time for NTV Sasa with Salim Swale and Kaltun Jama. Stand by for that. Good afternoon.